All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to week 2 of our graduate school application bootcamp. My name is Gyimah, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. And as tradition goes, every time we start, we do 15 minutes of prayers, and then we delve into action by introducing and hosting our esteemed panelists. So today I'm going to invite Miss Eugenia to lead us in the prayer session. Miss Eugenia, please, if you're online, kindly unmute for us and start the prayer session for us. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm told Miss Eugenia is having some challenges with her network. So we are currently waiting for her, but as we wait and find someone who will take it in her stead, I would want us to do a very quick recap of what we learned the previous time, which was last week. So if you picked something last week that you would like to share with us, and the floor is open. You have some few minutes and some ample of time to share with us your thought and what you learned from last week. I don't want to be pointing or calling out names, so I would like voluntary. I would like us all to volunteer and then give our contributions. Hello, who would like to do as the honors? Okay, so I think, Audrey, can you tell us something you picked from last week's session? That was the intro to graduate school application 101.
Okay, hello.
Hello, Audrey.
Yeah, I learned that we should try to send cold emails, that is emails to maybe some of the professors that are in the schools that we've applied for, because sometimes it helps you get the application. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Audrey. Yes, that was said last week, and that is very important. I think Mr. Asante and drew attention to that. Thank you very much. Any other person who was here last week and would like to share his or her thoughts with us? Before I proceed, Agnes, please, are you on the call? Hello, Agnes. Okay, sure. So please, next person who would like to also tell us something that he heard or she heard from last week. Those of us who were on the call last week. Yes, please unmute and talk.
Good morning. Yeah, let's say good morning.
Mr. PJ.
Yeah, please, can you hear me?
Yes, your voice is quite fainted, but I think we can still hear you.
Okay. How is it now?
Yeah, it's better now. It's better now.
Okay, thank God you didn't hear me at first. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity. Something that caught my attention last week. So, getting to the dying members of the meeting, I think one of our speakers was like, you know, he wanted to debunk the myth about studying abroad, and he was like, though people may say that the money there is, substantial and you chill and stuff, but it's also when you are spending it, you don't have to, convert it into cedis because you will not spend it. You spend it as it is there, and that's one thing that you should know, that though you will be getting, but that money will be also spent on utilities. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, that was also shared by Mr. Asante. I really remember. Thank you, Mr. PJ. So we take the last person, and then we start our prayer session. Who would like to share with us what he heard last week? I know most of you picked a lot, so just share with us anything that you really picked from last week.
Okay,
Hello.
so please,
All right, thank
I
you.
learned about the 3 V's. That's
Okay.
being, that's the value,
Exactly.
visibility and being vocal.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. So that was called attention economics. Yes. Value, visibility, and being vocal. And what I picked was let your settings be very loud. Yes. And we were told it should be a good setting, actually. So your settings should be good, and make sure that you make it very loud enough for all of us to hear. And I mean, know the impact you are making in the corner where you are. Okay, so our speakers are the one to lead the prayer session is actually having a minute challenge. So we would have to start, and I would gladly take that. So before I start, I want us to go into a moment of prayer. Thank for his blessing, his care, and his wondrous deeds for us. He always sees us. Think of his majestic days. Wherever you are, I want you to be in a moment of prayer. Adore his name and thank him. Many wish they are healthy, strong, and jumping around just like we do, but they are not able to do that. It is not because we are strong. It is not because we are special. It's his grace and favor that locates us wherever we are. I want you to praise his name and adore him. I want you to tell him that you are very much grateful for knowing him. Thank him and praise him, adore his name. Admit that, yes, you are human with flaws, but despite your flaws and errors, he still shows his unconditional love for you. Wherever you are, I want you to praise the Lord and adore his name. I want you to think of how great his deeds are. Look at how he created the sea, the birds, and everything within it. We are mortals, we are sinful creatures, but yet his love still comes through for us and wherever we find ourselves. The journey of the prodigal son tells us a lot. We are told in scriptures that the father was standing afar and he saw the son. It was an act of unconditional love that made the father welcome him. And he didn't just welcome him. When he brought him in, he ordered his servant to kill the best and fattest calf. And he gave him a ring showing that he's no more a slave, but still a son. I want you to thank his name and adore his. I want you to praise him and tell him that, God, I'm very much grateful for all that you continue to do for me. Lord, we praise you and adore you. Indeed, you are the Father of all creation. And it's you who give us strength and might in all places that we find ourselves. Lord, we praise your name and adore you. We glorify you and exalt you, for you are a good God. We are sinful creatures, but still your love comes through for us wherever we find ourselves. We praise you and adore you, O God. We glorify you. We thank your name. Thank you for you are greater God. Now I want you to ask God for forgiveness of sins. We wait in sin, we walk in sin because we are mortals. I want you to ask God to forgive you of all your iniquities, your errors, your flaws, and everything, whether you've committed it intentionally or you did it without knowing. I want you to ask for forgiveness of sin from our Maker. He's a good God who doesn't sin, but he has a cure to your sin. Just like the story of the prodigal son, when he came in, the father still welcomed him. Your father is standing afar, looking at you to return, to get that conscious, to actually return back to him, for him to welcome you into his abode once more. I want you to ask for forgiveness of sin, for wherever you've streamed, wherever you walked, no matter the stuff you've done, he's still willing to forgive you. Ask for forgiveness of sin from our Maker. I want you to pray to commit this gathering onto his hand. You are not just here because of serendipity or by chance, because he has instituted it in his word that you will be here today to be on this call. Ask him that he makes this a success. Commit all the speakers, panelists, moderators, and yourself onto his care. That whatever will happen will be by him, and he will take absolute control and charge of everything that will happen on this call over here today. Pray, committing the speakers, everybody, anything that will be of issue, technical issue, anything, an unforeseen circumstance that will happen. May he, God, take control of that. I want that to be your prayer today. That he will protect all our speakers, our panelists, and everybody. Whatever comes from their mouth shouldn't be by them, but by him, Lord, for us to get the best of this gathering. I pray, committing yourself unto the Lord, that anything that will be of a distraction, may he, God, take control of that. He helps you get the maximum of this gathering over here. That will help you in your journey and your foresight of applying for grad school. So, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this gathering. We adore your name and praise you for your greater glory over us. We are mortals, yet your love and favor still come true for us. Father, it's not by our might, it's not by our beauty or anything, it's not by our knowledge or our wealth. That is why we are still alive. It's by your unconditional favor and love that you continue to shower on us. So you, O Lord, we praise you and adore you. We commit today's gathering unto you, O Lord. May your spirit take absolute control and charge over today's gathering. And may everything that we do today be of huge success and help us get a maximum and most out of this gathering. We pray to commit this unto you. Anything like technical issue, anything, may you, God, take absolute control of that, O Lord. We praise you and thank you, Father. Help us and let us have a successful meeting. These and many more we ask through Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you, one God, forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making time for our panel discussion today over here. And sorry for the inconvenience, but still we are going to move on. Please, the person who hasn't muted, please kindly mute so that we can be able to hear our moderators and our panelists. Okay. So please, if you're not talking, kindly mute for us. I think one person hasn't muted. Let me check the person. Alfred, please mute for us, okay? And Mr. PJ, kindly mute for us also, okay?
Goodness.
All right, so sorry. And then we continue on with our talk. Then today, last week we talked about introduction to grad school application, and we had 3 seasoned speakers, one from Ghana, one from the US, and one from Canada, who shared their wealth of experience with us on the call. And just by what some of us were saying earlier, we realized that we really picked a lot, and we got to know their journey, how they navigated it, their perplexity they went through. And some of them admitted they cried at some point, but that was just by the way. Then today we are going to talk about yet another very important session, which is understanding graduate school application requirements. Okay, what you need to know. Most of us have heard about graduate school, yes, last week. kind of opened the gate for us to kickstart the conversation. But today we are taking it a step further to talk about what the requirements you need to fulfill, or the checkbox that you need to satisfy before you get into graduate school. And I have some of my amazing panelists over here who are going to help us make this an awesome discussion. So today we are going to talk about typical admission requirement for an international student, okay? Whether you want to apply for a school outside Ghana or within the country, something that you should know. Then we talk about academic credentials, your transcript evaluation and recognition, okay? How well should your transcript be to actually make sure that you have you stand a chance of entering your dream school that you are applying for. Then also we talk about English proficiency requirements, okay? Two of the most popular tests that we know are the GRE and the GMAT. And last week, some of us were asking about what is the GRE. Don't worry, today my panelists are going to talk about it over here on the call. Then we talk about possible application fee waivers, okay? You realize that last week what they were sharing, most of them don't actually pay the entire full amount of the application fee, yeah? How are they able to do that? And how do you make sure that you stand a chance of getting an application fee waiver? And then we will also talk about how the required document that you need to gather to actually apply, be ready for the application periods, okay? Then we will talk about the checklist creation for specific programs, as I said earlier. Then I will quickly introduce my seasoned speakers. Okay, so my first speaker is a dedicated environmental scientist and researcher specializing in ecotoxicology, water quality, biodiversity, sustainability, climate change, and public health. One person, okay? He recently earned his Master of Philosophy in Environmental Science from the Institute of Environment and Sanitation Success, IESS, at the University of Ghana, premier university in the entire country, where he currently serves as a postgraduate research project assistant. Through his academic journey, he has collaborated on various research initiatives, which include building capacity to cross-link coastal pollution with climate change BC5 project, which was funded by NORAD. Okay, so his work actually emphasizes the interconnectedness of environmental issues and the importance of sanitation, sustainable practices. Beyond his research, he's passionate about mentorship and community engagement, often sharing insights and advice to support students and young professionals like us in navigating academic and environmental challenges. He's also very committed to environmental sustainability and public health, and is very active in research and mentorship positions, which has made him a valuable contributor to decisions on environmental science, climate change, and sustainable development. In addition to this, he's proud ITI-CCR UG alumnus and very active in Heart of Worship during his days as student. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Sampson Dordaa, who is one of our panelists today, bringing his wealth of experience to the discussion on board today. Mr. Sampson, please, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for honoring our invitation also. Then I'll move on to invite or introduce my second panelist. And I think this is the first time you're bringing a lady on the meeting or the call, so we should be happy to listen to her. She's an accomplished agricultural engineer and entrepreneur with a strong commitment to sustainable development and technological innovation in agric. She holds a BSc in agricultural engineering and is currently pursuing a Master of Science in Bioresource Engineering at McGill University in Canada. As a CEO and co-founder of Perpetual, which is an agric tech company established in 2022 and based in Accra, she leads a dedicated team focused on changing the poultry industry. Perpetual offers integrated hardware and software solution, which is aimed at enhancing poultry farming practices through automation, health monitoring, nutrition optimization, and data analytics. In addition to her entrepreneurial endeavors, She is a MasterCard Foundation Scholar, class of 2024, and actively engages in conferences and workshops aimed at empowering women in leadership and addressing challenges such as imposter syndrome. Her reflection on this experience underscores her dedication to personal growth and her commitment to inspiring inclusion in breaking barriers for women in agric and tech. She's a proud ITI-CCR UG alumna. Back in her undergrad days, she was a vibrant member of the teaching ministry. Help me once again to welcome Miss Perpetual Napoga on the call. Miss Perpetual, please, you are welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation also. Then I move on to introduce my last panelist, who is a seasoned data and analytics consultant at GB Foods based in Accra, Ghana. He has a robust background in technology, data strategy, and project management. His career reflects a commitment to driving digital transformation and leveraging data-driven solutions to address complex business challenges in the country and beyond. In his current role as data and analytics consultant, he applies his expertise to assist organizations in harnessing the power of data for strategic decision making. His professional journey includes a tenure as an assistant manager at Deloitte, where he contributed to enhancing cybersecurity awareness and implementing best practices within organizations. He has a strong foundation in data science and passionate about technological innovations, and he brings valuable insight into discussions on digital transformation, data analysis, and strategic transformation and implementation. He was an active member of the music ministry of ITI-CCR KNUST local back in his undergraduate days at KNUST. Hoping once again to welcome Mr. Roger Michael Kayumba on the call. Mr. Roger, please, you are welcome.
Thank you, Nicholas, and good evening to everyone.
Okay, all right. Thank you all, and welcome my panelists to today's discussion. So what we are going to discuss today is a very intriguing topic that most of us actually want answers to. Okay, so we are going to talk about understanding the graduate school admission requirements, and we know you are seasoned people to actually help us demystify these complexities and things that have been running through our minds for if not for decades, for years now. Okay, so that is going to be our theme for today. And a quick icebreaker here to all my panelists. I want us to do something very quick. So I want to ask, I'll start from Mr. Roger. If you had to describe your graduate school application experience using a movie title, what would it be and why? So, Mr. Roger, please, this question is to you. If you had to describe your graduate school application experience using a movie title, what movie are you going to use and why that particular movie?
That is a tough one. Do we know House of Cards?
Please, say?
Do we all know House of Cards?
Well, no, I think I've not watched that, but I will check it out after this discussion.
It's a thriller series. It's on Netflix actually. So it's more with politics, twists and turns, very complex structure of politics. Yeah.
Wow.
I'll use that to describe my experience because it was within a complex time. In my career, and it was actually within a COVID time. So it was a dilemma for me. Do I proceed with the program or do I wait till we have some green lights that COVID will be over? For me, I would use House of Cards because of the complexity within which I had to navigate.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So please, after here, do well to ask or do well to check out the movie on Netflix, and you will really understand his journey and why Mr. Roger is using that particular movie to describe his journey. And I'll quickly move on to Miss Perpetual. What about you? How and which movie are you going to use to describe your journey?
Okay, so I think I will have to tell you my experience, then you link it with a movie for me, since I'm not really a movie fan, and then it will be very hard for me to link it with a movie.
Oh, sure.
So, I would say that my graduate school application, it was a process that was filled with challenges, long nights, and then a moment of doubt. Like to get to a time that you will have to make sure you stay awake in order to get your SOP done, like written in a manner that will actually make sense to every reader. And a moment of doubt because you don't really know if you will be selected or not. But at all this time, like I remain hopeful despite all these uncertainties. I also told myself that you have to like do this. Even though you don't know the outcome, but that doesn't mean you should just stop, but to keep on trying.
Okay. Thank you very much. So my audience, please, which movie would you give to Miss Perpetual's journey? I'm also not really a movie person. You can drop that in the chat session. I will read it later. Thank you very much, Miss Perpetual, for sharing your journey with us. And lastly, Mr. Sampson, please, could you also do us the honors if you are to describe your journey? Which movie are you going to use and why?
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I am also not a movie person, but
wow.
Yeah, but if I look back on my journey through the application process, I think I can align it with the Passion of Christ movie. Why?
Wow.
Because I knew what I was going in for. Yeah, so just like Jesus Christ knew he was going to die on that, so I knew what I was going in for, and so I mean, I just prepared myself in that light. And I think one thing that helped me was that the very place I did my master's, I mean, I was working with them. I've been working with them for some time now, so I knew the system and everything. So it was just a smooth transition. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you all for sharing your journey with us in a brief movie title. I mean, so I believe all of us know the Passion of Christ, right? So you know what you are going to expect. So you brace yourself up for it. Thank you very much for sharing your experience with us through this icebreaker question. Then we go on to the main question that I'll be asking. So I will start from, I think most of you have actually, should I say, opened up to us already, or given us what we should expect from this conversation about your journey not being easy and things that we should really expect. So I would like to ask Mr. Roger, please, what was the most challenging parts of your grad school application and how did you actually overcome it? So this will also run through all our panelists. So please kindly prepare for us. So I'll start with Mr. Roger. What was the most challenging part? You told us it wasn't really easy. It was during the COVID time. And what was the most challenging part of it? What made it a very tough journey and how were you able to overcome it?
Nicholas, thanks. But am I audible? Can everyone hear me?
I think we can hear you, but there's kind of should I say background of feedback we get, but I don't know. But we can actually hear you.
Okay, let me try something.
Okay, sure.
Just give me a moment. Maybe just go around.
All right, sure.
Okay. Connection.
Okay, so Ms. Perpetual, as Mr. Roger gets ready, same question. What was the most challenging parts of your grad school application? You told us you had to stay awake for your SOP to be done the way you want and others. We want you to share with us what was the most challenging part of the grad school application process and how did you actually overcome it?
Okay, so as I already mentioned, SOP, it should even tell you that it was a nightmare for me. So I was a teaching assistant, and then during that period, most of my colleagues were applying for schools, which I was also expected to be applying for schools around that time because it's assumed, oh, as a TA, you have time, and that is the time you actually have to make school application. But funny enough, that was the time I didn't even put in any application just because of SOP. I just didn't know how to start, and how to end it. I used to contact colleagues and then people that I already know who are pursuing their graduate school. They will send me their SOP. I'll go through it and I'm like, how did you even frame this story? How do I also come up with my own? So it was actually a nightmare for me because writing your SOP, like it has to be in line with whatever program you intend to apply. So let's say if you're applying to like 3 schools or 4 schools and you are intending to apply to different programs over there, then that means you have to tweak your SOPs like 4 times and they all have to make sense and tell a genuine story. So it was a nightmare for me, like it wasn't easy.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so, how are you able to overcome this, and what's finally opened the way for you to get the SOP done in a way? And what advice would you like to share from that?
Okay, so one funny thing that happened was after I was actually reluctant and then I actually sent some kind of laziness. I attached some kind of laziness. So it was one night I realized all the jobs I applied, I wasn't either hearing from them or I was receiving rejects. Then I now told myself, okay, so since job application is not working out, that means I have to look at graduate school. And then the only way I can now apply to the graduate school, like I can't go without my SOP. So I now had to put in the effort, begin to reflect, and then put in like a very nice SOP. So I think I used one night to just get a draft. Then I started refining it and then giving it to other people to review for me. And then within like 1 week, 2 weeks time, I had a perfect SOP.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this. I mean, experience that you've shared with us. So, Mr. Sampson, please, same question. What was the most challenging parts of your grad school application? You have already told us that it's more or less like a Passion of Christ movie, right? So you knew what we were coming to face, and we want to know how you went through and how you were able to overcome it overall.
All right. Yeah. So for me, I think the process was, very smooth. Just that at a point, I needed to decide whether I would study environmental science or environmental sanitation. And in fact, that was where the headache was. Yeah. So eventually, I chose environmental science upon reading the courses that you do and all that. And I realized that this would better fit for me. Yeah. So I think that is it. I didn't really face any challenge. But then to say something on what Perpetual just said, if you are writing is very difficult. Trust me, writing is very difficult. So one thing that people may have to consider is that whenever you write something, let others read and tell you how they understand it. You understand? So writing SOP can be very challenging. But then if you draft and then you let people read their course, what the course is about and the requirement they need, and then they'll critique your SOP so that you can fine-tune it to fit the particular program you're applying for. Yeah. So for those of you who will be writing SOPs, try and make others critique it so that you can have a very good SOP.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Rosa, please, are you ready now? Or we can.
Yeah, is it better?
Okay, yeah, it's better. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think I share similar experience with something. It was more of a making a choice than it being really a difficult process. Okay. So for me, it's I was more focused on which program best aligns with my career ambition, right? And trying to answer that question was tough. Right? My background was in engineering. I wasn't practicing pure engineering. Zoomed into data analytics. So the question was, do I still stay in data analytics or I switch over into my engineering field? So for me, that was really the challenge. In terms of the application process itself, it wasn't really wasn't really a tough process. So
Okay.
I mean, that's my experience.
Okay, thank you all for sharing this with us. But I think we've actually opened up for the SOP discussion, and I have a question here that I wanted to ask all my panelists once again. So we are all talking about SOP. First, what is SOP? Because myself and my audience, maybe this is our first time hearing it, and how do you actually tailor your SOP, which is statements of purpose, or your personal statements to actually stand out? So this question goes to Ms. Perpetual. How did you tailor your own? You were talking about if you're applying for 4 schools, you have to make sure that they all suit the particular application that you are doing. Okay, how do you tailor your SOP to actually stand out?
Okay, so as you already said, SOP, which stands for Statement of Purpose. So like every school, some schools, when they say Statement of Purpose, like it comprises of both the academic parts and then your personal like statement also. But other schools, they will separate it. You have to submit a personal statement which will solely talk about like who you are, like the kind of person you are, what you're interested in the activities you've been involving yourself in. But other schools too, they will just tell you to submit just one, which is SOP, and then you have to combine everything, which will comprise, like it will have to include who you are, what you are interested in doing, the kind of things you've been doing, and your academic journey too, like your professional journey, what you want to achieve in the future and everything. So like SOP, how do I, okay, so in my case, because writing, it wasn't even easy for me in the first place, I told myself, I'm not going to apply to courses that will have me edit it, like keep on editing it all the time.
Okay.
So my line of application was around environmental engineering, bioresource engineering, agric engineering. So in that case, if I want to even tweak it, I wouldn't do a lot of work because I read agric engineering at UG and it is divided into other disciplines. And like frankly speaking, I was really interested in the mechanical part also, but I had to change because of so many other factors also. So in this case, let's say if I decided to apply to mechanical engineering in this school and maybe geotechnical engineering, I'll have to get diverse like SOPs. But because I didn't want to do that, I now said, okay, then in my application, I'm only going to target schools that pursue environmental, bioresource, or agric. And in that case, I can submit the same SOP or tweak it a little bit. And even in those courses too, they have disciplines. So I now narrowed it down and told myself, okay, your SOP have to make sense it has to be like a story. It has to tell the lecturer or the school like who you are and then what you can bring on board. So I realized that like my experience in University of Ghana, even my final year thesis, like the places, like the sessions of the agric engineering course I did that I have strong experience and background was when it comes to the soil and water aspects. So in that case, I now told myself that is the part that I will not need a lot of effort because if I had decided to go into the mechanical aspects, that one you will need a lot of proof and a lot of convincing. Like you have to be able to convince them why you can pursue that course. Aside just your academic knowledge, you need some practical knowledge to guide you. So the SOP, you have to make sure that your story is strong enough. So I, for instance, I first started with the fact that it was a story form. So the fact that from childhood I've been interested in agric, and that led me into pursuing agric engineering at UG. Actually, like pursuing agric engineering wasn't a coincidence for me. I chose it as my first course. So like you have to put all this in your SOP, and then so in schools that will not require SOP separate from personal statements, this is the time you now have to put in if you had some awards in school for them to know the kind of person you are and then maybe if you've held some positions, and then some volunteering too, and also like if you've done something unique, this is the time you have to put in. And then because they didn't also specify personal and then academic, you now have to put in the parent course you want to pursue, why you want to pursue it. And then in this case, you have to go to the university website, check maybe the lecturers that are into those courses. You can even spot just one lecturer you are interested in, maybe working under. You research deep into like the research interest of that person. Then you just add something into, like, you add some of the research that the lecturer has been performing, like you add it into your SOP that, oh, okay, so even this person is running this research, and then I'm interested in it, and this is how I can contribute to this particular research. So in that case, it make your SOP like strong, because like I said, it will become a thought flowing like document. It will begin with like how your interest arose, and like along the journey, what you've been involving in, and then finally what you now want to become in the future. So like that was how I approached my SOP.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. A follow-up. Does it have a word, a page limit or something, or like you can just write as many as pages you want?
So to make your SOP not boring, normally it's advisable you don't exceed 2-page limits. Like it has to be standard, and you don't have to exceed 2-page limits, because you don't expect someone like, because in a particular school they can have like thousands of applications, so you don't expect them to just be reading your SOP which contains like 3 or more pages. It will become boring. So you have to be like as precise as possible and just put in the necessary information.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Roger, please, what is your take on this also? In your case, how did you tailor your SOP or your personal statement to actually stand out?
Okay, so I mean, in my case, I don't think I wrote a statement of purpose. The program was more tailored to working professionals. So I think if I remember clearly, we're just required to submit something close to the statement of purpose, was maybe our series, right? But I have written statement of purpose for other schools, so I might be able to speak to that. I think Perpetual has done a good job to cover most of the points, but I'll just speak to some do's and don'ts that I clearly remember getting from some of my senior colleagues. So one of the mistakes that I've realized a lot of people do is being too generic in your statement of purpose. Like Perpetual has said, it has to be very focused on the program, very focused on your background, very focused on your ambition or your goals. So putting together a generic statement really goes a long way to shoot you in the foot, right? So let's try and make sure that statements of purposes are very tailored to the school, very tailored to the program, very tailored to your background. Okay. Another thing too is, I mean, say for example, you're applying to about 4 schools, right? There's always a temptation of you pick one statement of purpose for school A and then you apply it to school B, right? Doing a standard copy and paste. Let's also look around that to try and reduce that. Another thing too, I realize is some people try and just be too emotional in their storytelling, right? So I love the fact that Perpetual tied this to her background, her ambition, why she wanted to do agricultural engineering, right? But starting to talk about your family is from a poor background, you are from a village, and your that's, and I mean, it gets too emotional. You know, trust me, those who are reading some of these documents are exposed to a lot, right? So let's try and also reduce some of that. And proofreading, right? Proofreading is one of the basic ethics that we should also learn. All right, we can write, but at the end of the day, it's best you share this with other people, like Nicholas. Is it Nicholas?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Sampson. Sampson stated in some other statements, right? Try and share some of these documents with others to also read, so that if there are any grammatical errors, that could be corrected. All right. Another thing too is, in our world of AI now, let's take advantage of AI, but let's be cautious when using AI, right? Trust me, using some of these generative tools can ease your work, all right? But at the same time, it can undo you, because it can spew out a lot of information which are either too emotional or factually incorrect. All right. So let's take advantage of the AI tools, but at the same time, make sure that you try and personalize the write-up that is generated from some of these tools. All right. So again, these are just some tips, do's and don'ts that I think could be helpful. In trying to put together a statement of purpose.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Roger. You've heard that you have to take advantage of AI, but be very cautious when using AI. So I'll quickly move on to Mr. Sampson and take his view on this. Then we further on our questions and move on. Mr. Sampson, please, any take or anything that you want to add to this?
All right, so I think Perpetual and Roger have done justice to it, but then let me add some few comments. So I have some networks in the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. I have some friends there who are faculty members, and one of them told me that whenever he's reviewing people's SOPs, it's like they are writing too much English, especially those from America and UK. So he told me that in SOP, you have to write with emotions, like let the reader be involved in it. Tell a nice story so that the one reader can, feel what you are writing and see that you are attaching some seriousness to, the application you are making. Yeah, so I think generally, Roger and Rachel have said it all, but let me make a funny comment on the use of AI. As you just said, you have to be careful. So I saw a post where someone commanded AI to draw a picture of Mother Teresa fighting poverty. And you could see that, like, in the picture, it was like a real fight. But, that was not the intention. To fight poverty is just to curb it. But in the picture, it was like she was fighting. So you have to be careful on the use of AI. And as Roger said, in these modern times where we have AI tools to correct grammars, you don't have to be making unnecessary grammatical errors in your SOP. So to use all the tools available to correct your grammars, and also let someone proofread so that you have a good SOP. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much all for adding your views on these very important topics. And then we move on to my next question over here, and that is addressed to Ms. Perpetual. So we're talking about statements of purpose and personal statements. I think you talk about a session where you talk about yourself, things that you've done in school, and anything. So I wanted to know, how important are extracurricular activities such as volunteer work, like internships, which are industry experience? How crucial are they in the application process, and how important are they?
Okay, so I would say extracurricular activities like volunteering and leaderships, like they are very important, if not even for the school application itself, like gaining admission itself. When it comes to securing funding, these like really count. So because it is going to tell the lecturer or like your supervisor the kind of person he's going to work with. If you are able to work in a team, if you are able to like lead
So in this situation, if you write about your leadership experience, it's going to inform them that, okay, so this person, when he or she gets into my lab in my absence, like there are certain responsibilities that he or she can now will be able to lead and make sure that the task is performed and performed the way like they need it. And then in volunteering activities, it will make them know like who you are and then like the impact you even want to make in your environment. So these activity like extracurriculum activities add volume to your application and make them know the kind of person you are and what you can bring on board. Hello, please, can you hear me, Nicholas?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I realized I've muted myself when I was talking. So I'll move on to Mr. Roger. So you told us that the program you applied for was for professionals. So how important was the previous work you were doing? How role or critical a role did it play in the application that you did, or how you got into the school?
So, Nicholas, can you come again with a question?
Okay, sure. So I'm asking, you earlier you told us that the program you applied for was for professionals. So I wanted to know how the previous job you were doing back then, or any kind of extracurricular you've done, how important was it in your application process?
Yes, I mean, certainly, like, I mean, I stated, because it was a professional program, definitely the depth of your experience matters, right?
Okay.
So no two ways about that. Yeah. But on to the extracurricular activities generally, all right? So let's take two scenarios, all right? Scenario
Okay.
A is um scenario A is basically you are applying. So picture yourself to be maybe in scenario A. So everybody here in this call, put yourself in scenario A. All right. You have the academic qualifications, okay, but maybe you've held a position in school before, right? And then scenario B is somebody else who is equally competing for the same program, also have the academic qualifications. Let's say, for example, maybe you have the same GPA, right? The person did not partake in any extracurricular activities. All right. Now, these two scenarios, or these two people applying, if you were the one reviewing this two, right? Or if I was the one reviewing this two, I'll definitely go for the one with the extracurricular activity.
Okay.
Right? We should not downplay some of these things. Right? I know, yes, the focus for school is to go study, get certificates and academic progress. But trust me, some of these extracurricular activities go a long way to shift the goalpost for you. Right? Even in job applications, it can attest to the fact that it's helped. All right. So let me give you an example. All right. So I don't know if you've heard of Blossom Academy. I mean, it's
yes, Blossom Academy.
Exactly. So I mean, the founder, Jeff Champon. I mean, he's a very good friend of mine. He called me one day and said he was tied up with people who could support, and this was when he was starting actually. All right, he was struggling to find people who can help him train some of the cohort teams. And I went like, okay, I mean, if I train people on a daily basis, let me just pick this. And this was when I was actually within my the early starting of my career. All right. And I was given a certificate after I trained them. I wasn't paid. Right. So it was basically just for free. All right. Now, I added the certificate to my application when I was applying for my role in development. Okay. And during the interview, it came up that It's interesting that I partook in a training session for a physical coach young graduates and data analytics. I wanted to share my experience in there. I shared my experience, and one of the panelists told me that this alone shows that I'm able to go out of my way to be able to support anybody or anyone in my team.
Okay.
So it wasn't just about my professional experience. It wasn't just about my ability to deliver on the job. It's the fact that I took in something like this, which was it wasn't a paid service. All right. So let's think of extracurricular activities as more like your Swiss Army knife, right? So you have your knife for cooking and all. You definitely need a Swiss Army knife when you're stepping into the water, right? So let's always have this analogy. You always have your knife for cooking, but once you're stepping into the world, you need your Swiss Army knife to be able to navigate, right? And again, it goes a long way to help in getting some of the programs that we're applying for. Because again, it paints a different picture for you, that you're not just the academic type. You're somebody who is able to gel with people. You're somebody who is able to take on roles. You're somebody who is able to navigate different terrains. That is a picture of things. All right. It's tough, especially when you're trying to take up leadership positions, for example. It's tough if you're the quiet type or the reserved or introverted type. It's tough, right? But the world in which we find ourselves is it's taken the one tough. Right? And some of these extracurricular activities help to shape us as complete professionals, as complete persons. All right. So for me, it's very important if we can, let's do well and partake in some of these activities.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Roger, for showing us the importance of these extracurricular activities. So, Mr. Sampson, is there anything you would like to add to this topic that we are talking about extracurricular activities, or any experience you'd like to share?
All right, I think they've said it all, but one thing is nobody wants people who are boring, like you are one way. It is just academic, not only academics. You need to have a balanced life, okay? And some way, somehow, when you are engaged in extracurricular activities, it brings out in you certain characters, okay? So let's say you're a musician and you're an MD. Fine, doing music is an extra curricular activity, but then being an MD means you have that leadership potential. I understand. And at the graduate school level, they need people who can lead. It's not like undergrad that you'll be pumped. There are certain things that your supervisors will not tell you. You have to do it yourself. And that you have that leadership quality. They know that, so you can do that. And another thing too is, if you are engaged in so many extracurricular activities, it means you can multitask. So it is not as if you just come to learn. I mean, you can do so many other things. And this happens at the graduate school level. You have to attend conferences and all that. So we see that, this guy has been doing other stuff apart from academics. It means when the guy is brought on board, he can multitask and help us to grow. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you all for sharing your views on this topic of extracurriculars and volunteer activities. So I would quickly go on to ask Ms. Perpetual next question. So I want to know, what are some of the most underrated questions, or some of the most underrated or often ignored aspects in grad school application that can really make a big difference for us? So these are things that we don't really pay attention to, but they can actually make a lot of difference in our application.
Things we don't pay attention to.
Yes. So some things that we often underrate. okay, but they actually can be or make a big difference in our application?
Okay, so what do I say? Let me say one of them is just the leadership and then extra curriculum that we mentioned. But also if we took part in, let's say, some certificate courses, so we can say that in school we focus mainly on like the academic calendar, like the syllabus and the kind of courses we have to take. And then most people, yes, we know like the school system is tight, and then you will not get the chance to take part in other programs. But during vacation and then sometimes, so some of the vacations, not just long vac, even the short vacations, the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks, like what you actually use your time for. So let me use myself as an example. So even though I was just mandated to have one compulsory internship, which was in the first year, but I told myself I have to involve in internship till I complete. So even second year and COVID season, when we came back, I made sure I partook in internships, and these are places that you can get experience, and all this experience can help you in your application. So even aside your SOP writing, in the application form itself, there are places that you are being asked, like the kind of things you've been doing over some period of time. So in that places, if you are able to fill the gap for them to know that like you always kind of get yourself busy with things that are meant to help your career or like help your academics, like they get to know the kind of person you are, and then I'm very sure they give consideration into those aspects also.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Roger, is there anything that you would like to share on this?
Forgive me, the question again.
Okay, sure. So the question was about what are some underrated or often ignored aspects of a grad school application that can actually make a big difference?
Oh, this is simple. Please, reading the instructions. Reading the instructions to them. All right. And see, a colleague of mine found himself wanting, because he missed some instructions. All right. So at times we take some things for granted, especially when you think maybe you've applied to 3 schools already, and so you think the process or the requirements will be the same. Every school has their requirements. Every school have their instructions, right? One school will tell you upload transcripts directly to their portal. Another school will tell you go through WES. Right? WES is more like a system where they help standardize your transcripts. All right. Instructions are very key. For me, if it's best you dedicate, like, let's say maybe 2 or 3 days, just read, go to the portal, read, continue reading. If possible, get a close colleague, let the person also read, and try and ask the person whether are we getting the same vibe. All right. It's very important. All right, because it cannot make you, trust me. Some small instruction that you missed, right, can just mess up your whole application process. So for me, this is it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Sampson, is there anything you would like to also add to this particular thing, which is some ignored things that or aspect of the grad school application that can really make a big difference in application?
All right, so I think Perpetual and Roger have once again said it. Yeah, so they have tackled it on what to do before the application, what to do before you get admission. But I would like to tackle it from now getting the admission into the program and how to journey into it smoothly. So honestly, the questions I was expecting from the beginning would be the kind of programs we have, the master's program or the PhD programs or the graduate programs. So I think it is important for everyone to understand the various kinds of graduate programs. We have the non-thesis programs, we have the thesis-based programs, we have various kinds of masters. We have the ones for those in the professional areas. And then we have ones for those who want to go into academia, like those who want to do research. So it is not just about getting admission, but getting what you need, what will be beneficial to you, because you can get admission into a program and you will not like what you see. You understand? So you need to really read on the program to understand what the program entails. Whether your research is going to be intensive, that is in the case of those who need MPhil, but it's just going to be, a normal research like the MSCs. So yeah, I think that's it. So you have to understand the program that you are going to study before you apply.
Okay, understanding the program is very important. And yes, we talked about this also last week on the call. So those who came last week actually talked about the type of programs available and things that we should explore. That's why we've not gone there today. But thank you once again for your contribution to us. So Ms. Perpetual, I want to ask about this. Canada actually has specific admission requirements. Okay, so what unique challenges did you face when you were applying to Canadian university?
Okay, so with the requirements, I would say they are school specific. Some schools will require you to get some additional certification when it comes to, let's say, English proficiency and your aptitude. So like you have to maybe write GRE, GMAT, and then IELTS. So I, for instance, before I started my application, I told myself, like, I'm not ready. So it's not like I psyched myself and I told myself I'm not ready to write GRE and I don't want to write IELTS too. So I was very strategic. When I opened the school application and I realized that among the requirements there is GRE or IELTS, I just escape. Then I went and look for a different school that's not required. So in my application, I was very strategic. So some of the requirements are like this. So aside they require you to fill your form, which of course, like you will have to fill your application form and then make sure everything is complete. They require you to get some referees, which most students, like Ghanaian students, really have issues with. So one thing I would say is when you are in school, undergrad level, familiarize yourself with your lecturers. Don't be a ghost in class. I'm not saying maybe you should be speaking with lecturers when you are not comfortable, but at least like make yourself known and then like approach these lecturers because they are the ones that will be writing the letters for you, that like referee letters for you, and they go a very long way. Most students don't get admission because of recommendation letters, because it's either a generic recommendation letter was written for them, or like the lecturers did not even turn it in at all. So make sure that you are known. Like, yes, maybe you can be in a class of 300 students, like 500 students, but in the little way you can make sure you are known. And even the lecturer you want to recommend you, don't just maybe stay at home and send an email. Yes, you can send an email, maybe if you are far from him, and then you can send an email for them to write on your behalf. But if it is possible for you to approach them in person, you have to do. And then the kind of things you did way back in school and then they got to be aware of, will also inform them on how to write in your SOP so that they don't write generic, as in recommendation, I mean recommendation, so that they don't write generic recommendations for you. So your recommendation letters play a key role, and also your certification. If the school requires you to write IELTS or JRE, like if you're able to get a pass mark, they play a key role. Then your SOP and your final like admission, like the form, also play a key role. So I think these are the major requirements that are needed in your application.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I'll move on to Mr. Roger. So, Mr. Roger, you have actually pursued both a traditional MSc at University of Ghana and also a professional certificate from University of Maryland, right? So I want to know, how do these different learning paths compare, right? And what should applicants consider when choosing between them?
Okay, so forgive me, I'll be very biased. Okay. I'll be very biased, but I'll try and also make sure at least I speak to the needs of our colleagues who are still in school. So, but just by raise of hands, let me see number of people who are, participants who are still in school, maybe in undergrad. Just raise your hand. I just want to gauge the number of people. Okay. All right. So that's fine. So it appears most of us are basically working. All right. So let me start from the working class, then I'll zoom into those who are still in school, just to create some perspective. Okay. I think, clearly, if you are pursuing a career, definitely your target needs to be oriented towards what's your career ambition. All right. Every program is tailored to give you a career path or to help you grow in a career path. All right. So look at yourself, look at your ability, look at your ambition in terms of your career, and try and find a program that fits your career path. Okay. Again, looking at how I structured my program, most of my programs, I didn't really stress to go for the standard academic path because I was looking for a professional program. All right. So even for my MSc in Legon, even though it was a pure MSc program, it wasn't a standard MSc program where you'd have a 2-year period plus your standard thesis writing. All right. So it was a sandwich program. Even though I actually wrote a paper, it wasn't very rigid. Okay. Now, this program will not fit for somebody who is looking at going the academic route or going a research route. So for the academic route, for the research route, you'll be looking at the MPhils, you'll be looking at the standard MSc programs that requires you to put out a thesis paper, standard thesis paper. All right. So that's the blend you need to look at. All right. If you want to go the career path, try and target career related programs. There are lots of them out there. Just take your time and do some research. Lots of programs out there. All right. Both in country and then out of the country. Those you can do online as well. Okay. Now, for those who are still in school, again, it boils down to what ambition you have, what target you have for yourself. All right. Do you want to go straight into grad school after your undergrad? If that's a route you want to take, it's a positive route. You can go for it. If you want to maybe work for some time before going into your grad school, it's also a path to take. All right. So again, I'm just trying to paint a picture that helps us gauge your decision making in terms of selecting a program, in terms of pursuing these programs and trying to understand what these programs even entails at the end of the day. All right. So again, these are two routes that you can explore. The standard professional routes is best if you've been working for some time and you want to grow in the career route, or you want to go up the career ladder. Okay. There are lots of programs that can tailor to your needs. And again, you just need to just take your time and do some research. Talk to the right people. You'll be able to find them out there. All right. If you're exploring some of these programs while still in school, again, there's nothing wrong with you going right after undergrad. You go straight into a graduate program. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, there are downsides to that. You need to understand that there are downsides. Right? The only downside I see is you tend to be skewed more into the academia route. Again, that is my perspective. I may be wrong, right? But from what I've observed from colleagues who have gone that route, most of them end up in academia, right? Or most of them end up in research. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's a path you want to take, go for it. All right. If you want to go the career route as well, again, there are lots of programs out there that are tailored for you. Okay. I don't know if I've covered it fully, Nicholas, but if not,
you've actually done justice to it for us. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Sampson, I want to ask, what challenges do local students actually face when applying to Ghanaian postgraduate or graduate programs, and how can I actually go through it? So I'm asking this because you have done your graduate school or studies in Ghana. So we actually want to know some challenges that local students face when applying to Ghanaian graduate programs and how they can actually go through them or overcome them.
All right. So with this particular question, I think it cuts across. I mean, not only the local students, but of course, the local students are those that really feel the impact. So it has to do with funding for your program. Okay. So let me say this on the perspective of being a research student, like someone who's doing a research course. Apart from paying for your tuition fee, if you are in the sciences, you have to do your research, and sometimes it requires a lot of money to finish your thesis. Yeah, so if you are someone who is funding yourself and then also funding for your research, that's going to be a big headache. Yeah, so I think the challenge that most of the students face is funding. So for me, in my case, I was lucky. I started my coursework. I was working, so I was having some money to pay for my tuition fee. And then I was fortunate to get a scholarship in my second year, which funded my thesis. So this is to those who would like to, school in Ghana. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities, plenty. They just did. They just started a Mastercard program, which I think is going to run for 10 years or so, and it comes with a whole lot of. Hello?
Yes, please, you can hear you. Hello, Mr. Sampson.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you.
Yeah, I think my network wasn't stable. I don't know where you got before the network.
So you're talking about Mastercard going to run for 10 years?
Yes. Yeah, so they have a Mastercard that is going to run for about 10 years or so, and it comes with a whole lot of scholarship opportunities for tuition and research and all that. So I think we have to read and do a lot of research on some of these opportunities. Yeah, because graduate school is very, very expensive. And then I would like to add something to what Perpetual said on the recommendation letter. It is important to establish a very good rapport with your lecturer so that they can help you in terms of writing recommendations for you. But one thing I also advise is that try and get one general recommendation letter as a standby, just in case there's an opportunity that you need to submit it quickly. So you can just identify like 3 interest areas that are related, and then ask your referee to write a nice recommendation letter for you. Put that one aside. So in a situation where you need a recommendation urgently, and then maybe you are meeting a deadline, you can just submit the general one, which can save you. Yeah, so I think that's it.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for enlightening us on this important thing. And then I'll move on to Ms. Perpetual about a question that I personally also want to answer to. So we know McGill is a very popular university in Canada. And many of us actually, or many students basically feel imposter syndrome when applying to top universities. So I wanted to know, how did you overcome that, and what advice would you like to share to us students and professionals who would like to actually apply to these top universities?
Okay. For the imposter syndrome, like, it is something that will come once a while, because sometimes you feel, oh, I don't deserve this, and then I don't deserve to be here. But one thing you should always tell yourself is that it is possible. If other colleagues from Ghana or even from your university have been able to make it, that means you can also make it. So it is a matter of psyching your mind and then putting in the effort. So you just have to first make sure that you meet the requirements. If not 100%, at least 80%, you meet 80% of the requirements. And then if you realize you meet about 80% of these requirements, nothing should stop you from applying. You might have the fear. See, the worst thing that can come out of it is they sending you a letter, or like send you an email that, oh, unfortunately, after reviewing, you didn't qualify. But if you don't put in the effort, if you don't start, how would you know whether you'll be selected or not? So you even putting in the effort is like the main step, like the first step you should take. Don't look down on yourself. If you've been able to graduate from University of Ghana or KNUST or any other university in Ghana, in fact, if you've been able to enter into tertiary in the first place, it should tell you that you are prepared, like you are very much prepared to face whatever it is outside here. So yes, there will be situations you will look down on yourself that, oh, maybe I'm not even a first class student, or I don't have like the experience they need. But the truth is, if they it may be the department you're applying for, they are looking for 3.0 and above, and you think you have 3.0 and above, don't hesitate, like still apply, and then just be hopeful.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are told to be hopeful and not shoot ourselves in the feet before we even start the application. Apply, be confident and apply. Thank you very much, Ms. Perpetual. So I'll ask Mr. Roger this very question. So Mr. Roger, you transitioned from geoinformation science to data science and analytics. I want to know, how can applicants with diverse academic backgrounds position themselves for interdisciplinary graduate program? So you have a blend of both. You transition from geoinformation science to data science. So I want to know how, if an applicant is also with same diverse academic background, how can they position themselves for such a graduate program?
Okay, so I would like to start with a point of correction. So I mean, the programs are actually quite related. So if you actually go into the breakdown of geoinformation science, it's heavy on data science, even though geoinformation science is more focused on geo stuff, basically building maps, mapping tools, using geographic information systems, if we know some of their solutions. So they're quite related, right? The only difference is, I mean, like data science is more focused on, it's broader, right? Data science is broader, whereas geoinformation science is much more narrow. to geo stuff, right? But that's just by the way. But just to help our participants, right? So again, I will still want to attack this question from the angle of if you are I think I'm getting feedback from somebody who has
please, if you are not muted, kindly mute so that we can hear our panelists. All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll attack it from two fronts. Okay. One is you are working with maybe one certificate, right? So maybe still using my example, for example, my case as an example, right? So actually my undergrad was actually in geomatics engineering, all right? Started my career in geomatics engineering. So I was in a company for I think 5 years that was focused on what I did in school. All right.
Okay.
Now I realized, I mean, the buzzword these days is AI, machine learning, and data science, right? It won't hurt for me to just jump on the train, right? So I just took the leap, all right? And taking the leap, I had to actually build myself, right? You know, I had to learn how to code, I had to learn how to interpret data better. I had to dive deeper into statistical modeling, for example. So these are things I did on my own before actually making the decision to pursue a program that certifies me as an expert.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So trying to shift from one program to another, there's definitely some work you'd have to do. All right. And again, that shift should always be driven by your career ambition. It should always be driven by a desire you have. All right. So it will be deadly for you to just jump on a buzzword if you don't have the passion for what you're doing. All right. So say, for example, you are from business administration, you want to go into data science. Lots of people have done that. It's possible. Right. But do you have the passion for it? All right. It's not just about you are jumping onto the buzzword and you want to jump onto the train. It takes some work to actually go into that area or that industry or that career trajectory. Are you willing to do the work? All right. So there's some level of personal work you have to do to actually transition into that. All right. So the program you'll be doing actually is just going to give you a trump card to say, yes, I'm certified in program ABC, see me as an expert. I mean, that's how I see some of these programs. All right. But professionally, if you are transitioning into that area, there's always some level of personal work you have to do. Because even without the personal work, if you are transitioning into that program, it's going to be tough because some of the curriculum you are going to be going through are going to be curricula that are related to that space or that area. All right.
Okay.
So again, please, Nicholas, guide me if I'm missing some points. Please.
Exactly. You've actually done justice, but I wanted to ask, so you gave an example of someone maybe doing business administration and transitioning to data science. How likely is it and how possible will you be able to, I mean, get that particular program? Is it very, should I say, likely that you'll be able to get such a program?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, for example, there are programs, I think there's a program in Legon called business analytics or so.
Yes, business analytics.
Yes, and it's an MSc program. It's designed for people who are saying maybe you are an accountant, but you want to go into data analytics. It's possible.
Okay.
All right. Okay. But again, there's some we should not omit the fact that there's some level of work you have to do. All right. You have to learn how to code. You have to be able to understand building dashboards, for example, interpreting data, for example. All right. And again, let's not be scared about that transition. All right. Let's not be scared. The point I'm just trying to make here is there's that middle black box that we should not omit. The work we have to do, the personal work we have to do. Because the program we are going to do is just going to take you through a series of topics. And again, some of these topics are just going to be run through. It's not going to be really in-depth to that level. So there's a level of work you have to do. And it's not what statement or what word should I use? Nicholas, help me. It's not impossible.
It's not okay.
It's not impossible. It is possible. A lot of people are doing it. Especially those, I mean, there are so many people who are transitioning from a career path which has nothing to do. Again, I'm going to use data science again because of the field I find myself. I see a lot of people coming from maybe medicine, they go into data science, and then maybe they end up being an epidemiologist, for example. All right.
Okay.
So there are so many examples out there. So many examples out there. All right. What matters is you are willing to do the work, that personal work of trying to understand the nitty-gritties. All right. Because again, once you are done with the program, you are going to take it into the professional world. And the only way you can demonstrate your prowess is with that personal work that you have done. All right. Again, Nicholas, have I touched everything?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've done justice to it. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, sure. So I would ask Miss Perpetual, this question also. Then we move on. Sorry, that is Mr. Sampson, because Mr. Perpetual has actually answered the question. So, Mr. Sampson, I want to ask, earlier you were talking about funding in space of Ghana and how difficult they are. So I want to know, what are the best strategies for securing financial supports for your research work or for your grad school application in Ghana? You mentioned one, which is MasterCard, and you mentioned that in your second year, you were fortunate to get a scholarship to cover part of yours. So I want to know, what are some things that we can do to actually secure this kind of funding?
All right. Yeah. So it is rather unfortunate I do not longer receive emails from UG, but I think there are a lot of opportunities, especially for those who have done their undergrad in UG. I'm sure your emails are still active.
Yes.
Every time they post opportunities, it's just that some of us don't read. Okay. So what happens at the graduate school level is that there are some departments that have projects running. And the project will require some number of masters or PhD students to come on board, and they'll be funded. There are some projects that even come with stipend, meaning you're not just coming to learn, but they'll pay you every month. You understand? So most of these opportunities are available, but some way, somehow we don't read and get to know. Yeah, so I think we need to read more. In fact, let us take our email seriously. Any opportunity that you see, if you feel like you want to do your master's in Ghana, you can read and then know the requirements and then apply. Yeah, so the people that funded my thesis, for instance, last year they took in 5 master students.
Wow.
Yeah, so when they are going to, this time around, they are even going to give them stipend and all that. By the time we didn't get any stipend, they're the research fund. So I think there are opportunities. So we just have to read wide. Apart from the school funding opportunities, I think outside the school there are opportunities to get funding and so on and so forth. So you just need to reach and then apply, because if you want to use your money for graduate school, Charlie, I don't think it makes sense.
It's very hard.
Yeah, you just have to get a support so that you can have a peace of mind instead. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for telling us this. And then, Miss Perpetual, I want to know, you are a co-founder of Federicare and a woman in STEM. How did you actually leverage this, your unique background in your application? How did you tailor them, or how were you able to incorporate this to make it stand out?
Okay, so that came at a point when I was writing my statement of purpose. So, as I already said, it has to be like a story you are telling them because they don't know you. That is the only time they will get to know this applicant and then what this applicant is made up of. So, my expertise and then my experience in Federicare, that was the time I had to now bring it into the application, the whole application. So in this case, I had to make them understand that it wasn't just about the academics and then me getting the grades or even the transcripts they were seeing, but when it comes to like entrepreneurship and also trying to solve real world problems, like that is something I'm interested in. And I currently have a project which is ongoing, and not
Awesome.
even just being a member, but rather a co-founder, and the kind of like unique skills I bring on board. So that was actually the point I now brought all this in, because that is the only time they will get to know who you are and then what you can bring on board. So aside that point, I don't remember using the Federicare experience in the application unless the scholarship, which is also a different application on its own. My scholarship application was different from the school application itself.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing this with us. So, Mr. Roger, please, I would like to also ask this question. So, most students actually struggle with showcasing their technical skills, their coding, data analytics in the application. How did you highlight these competencies in yours, and what can you let us know from that?
Okay, so I think this question, I mean, I would answer it from the angle of us participating in a lot of projects, right, while still in school. Okay, so aside your project work, assignments, I mean, there are several how do you call this? Groups, right, on campus. I know there are several groups on campus where, especially if you're into coding, you're into data science, some of this technical stuff. There are a lot of groups that bring students together where you try and spin a project and then try and work together as a team to achieve that project. Try and find some of these groups, right, and participate. Okay. Again, quite unfortunately, this is only skewed to the very technical programs. I mean, computer science, data science, some of these programs that require you to actually do some handy works. Even with our colleagues doing arts, right? I mean, yeah, the arts require you to do something with your hands, right? So find yourself in groups, try and spin a project, right? And try and make sure that the project solves a problem, right? It might not be Guyana's problems, okay? It can be a very simple project on campus, problem on campus, right? Identify something simple, right? That you can build a tool out of, you can build something out of, right? Now, if you're able to do this, try and now capitalize on the fact that you joined this project, right? Put together a simple write-up. The project was about ABC. It was done by 5 people from XYZ programs. We achieve these results. And possibly try and get some lecturer involved just to get a stamp of approval. All right. Now you can actually use this in your application. All right. You can use this as part of your statement of purpose and say in school you were part of this group, you participated in 5 projects, and these projects are recognized by this department or this lecturer. So again, try and be strategic about how you participate in some of these groups. Again, it can even be an extracurricular activity. All right. So try and fuse this or try and build this in anticipation of what is to come. All right. If your goal is to, at the end of the day, apply for graduate school, try and start doing some of these things that actually you can move it into your statement of purpose and it will give you some good marks. Right. So I mean, these are things you can do. All right. Especially for those of us who are still in school. For those of us who are working, it's even easier because I mean, once you are involved in a very technical profession, right, you can always demonstrate some of the projects you worked on. You can always demonstrate some of the roles you took during your professional part or your professional right. Okay. So again, this is just to help those who are still in school, those who are still working. It's very easy. All right. At the end of the day, try and I always look at it this way. You want to be able to tell a story through your statement of purpose, right? You want to be able to demonstrate you have enough project experience. Start doing it right now. Right? Start doing it right now in anticipation of that. Right? And it makes your application process even fun at the end of the
day. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing this with us once again. And then, Mr. Sampson, I would like to know, you are involved in things like mentorship and others. So I want to know, what advice would you actually give to a student or a professional who want to blend things like research, mentorship, and professional work while still studying during graduate school?
Wow, this is tough. Yeah, I think it is possible, of course. I mean, if you want to combine all this, and it will depend on how you can multitask, because graduate school alone is demanding. And if you want to add any other thing to it too, you have to plan well. So the key thing is planning. You just have to plan very well, know when to do this and when not to do that. I remember when we came to level 100. I mean, not level 100. I mean, I think somewhere around level 300 or 400 so when Father Beku came around. He told us to, I mean, get a timetable for ourselves, even times to browse, like social media and all that. So I think it is just about planning. Know how to plan your life very well, and then you are able to go. Yeah. So I think that is basically it. Yeah. Now on the issue of mentorship, one thing I believe in is that you learn more when you teach. You understand? You learn more when you teach. My current work that I'm working for, my current role as a postgraduate research assistant at the Institute for Environmental and Sanitation Studies, it requires that we mentor some of the MPhil students who come around. I mean, yeah, some of them who are on certain projects. And it is not easy. Last week, some of them went to the field to take their samples, and you have to plan with them on how to go about it. Even though you're not there on the field, but you're able to plan with them so that they do everything right and come back. Yeah, so in as much as you are teaching someone or mentoring someone, I believe some way, someone you also learn. So it is all part of the learning process. I mean, yeah, so you just have to plan, and that is all. Yeah, thank you. I think Roger would like to help me on this, so maybe you can give him the floor too.
Okay, Mr. Roger, please, if you have any other experience, you can also share on this.
Yeah, so I think I'll just Nicholas, I beg you, I'm growing old. Help me with the question again. Okay.
Okay. So his question was actually, about the advice that he would give to students who want to blend things like research, mentorship, and professional work while still studying.
Okay. So I'll attack it from blending the professional work and while still studying, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So again, I'll start from the angle where some start, where it takes the ability to multitask, right? It takes the ability to multitask. Let's not underestimate the fact that we cannot multitask. We cannot multitask. As you're doing like 8 courses or topics or whatever, okay, you're already multitasking. You're giving lecturer A is giving you assignment, lecturer B is giving you some research topic, lecturer C is saying go to the field. You have to do all this concurrently and come and submit your work. You're already multitasking. All right. So see, let's see ourselves to be very capable. All right. Let's shift our mindset. Okay, a lot of times, again, I've been prey to this. I've been victim to it. You are in school and you feel like, Charlie, there's just so much you can do. Master, you can do a lot. The fact that you've been able to go to Legon, KNUS, UCC, oh, you're already there. You are blessed. Okay. So see, my point is we can multitask. That is what we need to do. Right. So say for example, you are doing your national service, you are working. I was basically working whilst doing my MSc. All right. And I think most of us, some equally do the same thing. Perpetual has also done the same thing. All right. We have to learn to be able to multitask. Now, it drills down to how you manage your time. I'm not a saint. I'm not perfect. Once a while, social media will catch me and will be bombarding me before I realize I spent 3 hours just scrolling through social media. Right. But you see, what matters here is the ability to bounce back. All right. You can start with a timetable. All right. Especially if you are working, give yourself a timetable. You know you close at 5, for example, you get home by 7. All right. If your classes is online, you know the time it starts. Give yourself some time to study. Give yourself some time to practice whatever is done. You can only do that if you time yourself. If you give yourself a structured timetable. All right. For those of us who are still in school, we're already doing this. Right? You're already doing it. So it's something we should be able to. It's a muscle in our brain that we need to constantly engage. All right, the ability to multitask. Because at the end of the day, once you're done with school, you end up in a professional field, you end up in research, you end up in academia, you are required to multitask. All right. You are required to multitask. So let's start by first giving ourselves a structured timetable. All right. Our time management is key. All right. Let's figure a way out to be able to plan our timing very well and stick to it. And it takes discipline. If you've given yourself a timetable, you've told yourself that by 10, once class is over, maybe you're doing online class, 10 o'clock, you do some 30 minutes study. Do it. All right, do it. Don't go and sit on your phone or your PC and be watching Netflix. Do it. All right. And again, if you feel like you are tired and you are dozing off, please take some rest. All right. But please, it's very important. It looks like our discussion is all around us pushing and us trying to
push it. Exactly.
Charlie, rest. If it requires, if your body tells you are tired, you are tired. All right. But try and make for that lost time. That's all that matters. All right. Try and make for that lost time. So again, these are just some few pointers I wanted to add to Sam's points.
Sure. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing this. And then I'll move to we'll be wrapping up very soon for question and answers from our audience. So please kindly get your questions ready. Right when we end, we would open the forum for questions for you to engage panelists about any question that you would like to ask or any clarification that you would like them to actually do for you. So Miss Perpetual, I want to ask this question. I want to know, what's one thing you wish you had known before starting your graduate studies?
One thing
you wish you had known before starting your graduate school application and studies?
Okay. So I think one thing I wish I had known is it's not easy as it seems, or it's not easy as people make it to feel like, especially outside. So let me use like having your graduate studies outside and even living outside out of your home country. It's not as shiny as others portray it to be, and it's not as easy as you might think it is. The effort you need to put in when you are in Ghana is the same effort, even times 2 or 3, that you have to put in while you are here. One thing you should know is that this place, they see you as you being an international student as someone who has been able to break boundaries and be able to make it here. So much is even expected from you. So if you are even in your class with your colleagues who are like residents of this country, they expect you to put in like more. You should put in extra effort. You should prove them that you really belong here. Like you that they didn't make a mistake, like you deserved to be here, that's why you are here. So in that case, you will even have to tell yourself that you have to make sure that you don't even disgrace yourself and wherever you are coming from. So that is one thing I wish I knew, because it's not really as easy that we might think it is. Yes, you'll be seeing the pictures online and then you might think, oh, this person is growing fat, or maybe this person is taking nice pictures, so everything is okay. Please, like, there are late night sleeps, you have to meet deadlines just as in Ghana. So that is one thing I wish I really knew, so that I could psych my mind very well before even coming in the first place.
Okay. Thank you. A quick follow-up on that. What were some of the biggest cultural or academic adjustments that you had to do just because you've moved abroad to study, or just because you're an international student?
Okay, so one big cultural shock was so in class, like, let me say, language. I don't know, some of these our colleagues in class, I can say it's not as if they don't hear you. They can hear whatever you are trying to communicate with them, but sometimes they just want to like make you upset or like make you feel inferior by telling you, pardon, what do you say? Like you sometimes you feel, no, this person actually understands what I'm saying and is just trying to fake it. So in that case, I remember one time, like, when you now take it to them, like you put it to them that I know you understand me, you are just trying to act as if you don't understand. That is when like they begin to kind of cooperate. So like after this looking down on you and trying to make you feel inferior, it will be there, but you also have to stand your grounds and make sure that if you think whatever answer you are giving out, if you like, you put up your hand and then you are giving any answer, you feel, oh, this is the right answer and I'm confident in my answer. Don't be frightened with their presence or like whatever they will say. You have to be bold enough. That was one culture shock, because in Ghana, no one will look down on you and try to like make you feel inferior. But here, some of them, funny enough, they feel like you've even come to take over their country and like they want you to feel inferior, but that is not supposed to be.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for telling us this. And then, Mr. Reza, I'll come back to you again. Where I want to know actually, many students are now actually exploring online certifications as alternative, or maybe to actually complement their traditional degrees, right? That we be receiving from UG or KNUST. I want to know from your experience, do these things actually carry weight in graduate school application?
Graduate school applications, I would say not necessarily. So, I mean, in my experience, the fact that you have certifications doesn't really make a difference, right? The weight is placed on your academic achievements, professional achievements, maybe, and whether you are really fit for the program, right? So I would say it matters, but not so much, right? Not really. All right. So the certificates are good. Again, if your focus is to rise through the professional ladder, but not the purpose of the certificate is not really to help make your graduate school application use core points, basically. So let's be aware of this. It doesn't mean don't take the certifications, take them. All right, take them because again, I feel the certifications help really certify, like it says, it's certifying that you are professional. All right, but if you are focusing on graduate school, the weight is placed on your transcripts, your documentation, whatever they are asking for of you. And I hardly see schools asking for certifications as requirements, unless some of these professional programs, or maybe accountancy, for example, those in accounting. I don't know if it's a requirement for ACCA and the rest, but I hardly see those. I hardly see those.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for telling us this. Also, then Mr. Sampson, you are into research, so I want to know, how can students who didn't actually have many research opportunities during their undergraduate stays build a strong research background for grad school?
Well, it depends on the program that the student studied in undergrad. Okay. So at the graduate school level, and of course, those who want to do research, you do intense, research, depending on the particular master's you're doing, whether MSc or MPhil. And what I know is at the undergrad level, some do projects, right? Especially those in the sciences. Those projects are good. Well, let me say, if you do those projects very well, that is a very good step in the right direction, because that's what you're going to build on. And so if you are someone who wants to apply for a master's program, whether within the country or outside, I think sometimes one thing that would make you stand out is if you have publication. So I just want to advise those in the sciences, if you have done a good work in your undergrad project, consult your supervisor and try to publish it and use that publication for your master's application. And once you need to also know that now it is not about having a master's to touch a PhD. So if you are very sure of your career, you know that you want to go into academia, you want to do a PhD, you know that if you have a very good transcript and you have done a good project and you have published it, I'm sure you can apply for a PhD straight up when you get it. Now, on the part of those who didn't really have a firm foundation in research, let me say my friends in the arts who sometimes do long essay or some 2 courses in place of their long essay. Research, you can do it. If you study graduate school, just that if you are new to it, it would sometimes be a bit challenging. So what you have to do is to start learning. Okay. just pay attention in class when they're teaching research methods, because that's what you're going to use. And if you can learn on this by yourself before you even study a master's program application. That is, if you want to enter into research and don't have any knowledge on research. Yeah, so I think you just have to learn if it is new to you and learn very well. Yeah, so that is
okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. So last questions before we open the floor for Q&A. So this goes to all our panelists. So what is one myth about grad school application that you would like to debunk? I'll start from Ms. Perpetual. Anything that you've previously shared up with us, one thing you wish you knew, but now we want to know one myth about grad school application that you would like to debunk or clarify over here.
One myth I would like to clarify.
No, or debunk, yes, about grad school application.
Okay. I would just say that don't, like, we've been told that grad school application is tough, it is stressful, and you can make it, like, people actually apply to about 30 to even 40 schools and still do not make it. So like, you shouldn't even try it in the first place because it's going to stress you and it's not going to worth your time. But one thing I want to tell you is that know exactly what you are into and then the program you want to pursue, and make sure that you have all the necessary requirements. If you try, I know, like, there will be a point in time that after trying for first, second, or even sometimes you not even try the second time, even the first time, like, you are going to make it. So it's not always very tough as others will say. Sometimes you can get it on your first trial.
Okay.
I don't know if that was the kind of...
Exactly. So I'll move on to Mr. Roger. What is one myth that you would like to debunk in grad school application?
Oh, so I'll still expand on Perpetual's point. All right. So that notion that it's difficult, right? It's not difficult, but it's involving, right? Again, it's a mindset thing, all right? Because some of the schools, the requirements are in so many things you have to fill. The forms are lengthy, all right? It's not difficult if you actually look at it end to end. It's just that the process is involving, all right? And how you can easily manage this, right? Just to expand on Perpetual's points again, you can easily manage this by giving yourself some time. Set time for it. Like I said from my earlier submissions, start by really reading the instructions, understand the instructions clearly. All right. And give yourself some time. All right. To fill the forms. Most of the forms you'll be filling online are forms you can fill and submit continue later. All right. So you don't need to complete everything on one sitting. All right. You can do it over a period of 3 days. All right. So again, it's not difficult. It's just that the requirements are involving. You have to go and talk to different lecturers for your recommendation letters. You have to sit down and write your statement of purpose. Right. Go and change your academic transcripts if you are required to put a CV together and all that. So you see that there are a lot of things you have to do. But at the end of the day, it's not difficult. So again, I want us to really focus on the fact that it's not a difficult process. It's just involving. And how can you solve that? You can solve that by giving yourself time. All right. So break the application period, the application into cycles or into chunks and try and attack it in smaller pieces. By the end of the day, you realize you would have submitted to a lot of schools without even knowing it. All right. So again, let's shift our mindset away from the fact that it's a difficult process. Right? It's not a difficult process. It's just involved. And how you can solve it is breaking the application process into individual or smaller chunks that are manageable.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Sampson, is there anything that you'd like to also add before we take the Q&A?
Yeah, I think they've said it all, but to add on, especially in the Ghanaian context, what people usually say when you're applying for an MPhil is that we are the work extension, meaning you may graduate on time, you have to take another semester also, but I don't think that is true. Of course, I mean, majority of people do go on extension, but I think if you plan very well, you'll be able to finish on time. I can use myself as an example, not to brag, but then in my class, I know in my department, we were 27, but only 2 of us graduated. And it depends on how you plan your life, how your thesis topic is, everything. You just plan well. Don't go and do something too extraordinary, quote and unquote. At the master's level, just choose one area and focus your energy on it. But the others who would like to do so many other things, I mean, put in a whole lot of things in their work, and it will require a lot of time to finish. So my work, for instance, I needed to take samples on the dry and wet season. But I realized if I do that, time will go against me. So I just took one sample and I was gone. So that is it. So don't put it at the back of your mind that when you're applying, you go on extension, so you have to pay another money to pay for another semester. Put it at the back of your mind that this course I'm going to read, this is just for 2 years. I'm going to do it in 2 years. And you're good to go. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, my panelists, for this insightful article that you've shared with us on the call today. I know the questions were a lot, but you really kept answering them for us. Thank you very much. So we open the floor for question and answers. Please, if you have any question, kindly raise up your hand. I'll call you, or you can unmute and ask your question. Any clarification that you would like to get from our panelists, kindly unmute and talk for us so that we can know. All right, so Glory, please kindly unmute and talk. Hello, Glory. All right, Joel Ankuma, if you have a question.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for this opportunity. Please, I'm a student of University of Ghana offering Bachelor of Science in Administration, and I have the intention of majoring in accounting. I actually want to be a chartered accountant, and I want to do my ICA at level 400. But I'm thinking that it seems it's not enough because other people are still applying for master's degree to apply. So I want to know the reasons why people pursue the graduate program so that maybe I'll know what to do. Thank you.
Okay, so which of my panelists would like to take this? So is it that you want to know whether you should still take the ICCA or ICA? Or whether, okay, so whether you should go for masters or this particular one?
Yes, please.
Okay, so please, my panelists, any of you that would like to?
Let me help Joel. Right.
Okay,
so
sure.
Joel, I've had the opportunity to work in a professional firm, so I understand ins and outs of this, right? So Joel, for this question you've asked, it all depends on the career path you want to take. Okay. So if your focus or your ambition is to go into any of the big fours, for example, like Deloitte, PwC, EY, KPMG, and the rest, or even any of the professional firms, right, who offer audit, tax services, and all that, your best bet is to go for the professional course. Right? Your best bet is to go for the professional course. Now, if your career ambition is to just go into private sector, I mean any industry, and just work as an accountant, right? The certifications won't be too necessary. All right. What will matter for you is to grow through the ranks and, for example, maybe pursue an MBA. For me, I think if you are going outside a professional services route, you are better off going through an MBA. And again, I'm specific on MBA because I feel an MBA makes you well-rounded, right? Again, because the focus is to rise through the ranks, right? If you find yourself in, say, maybe let's use FMCG for example, where I find myself, right? They have a lot of accountants, right? By the end of the day, you would have to rise through the ranks to become maybe chief accounting officer, right? Or maybe chief whatever. Now, that will require you to lead people or manage people. That will require you to manage processes, all right? And you are better off having an MBA than an actual MSc in media content, all right? So again, you will need to figure out what career path you want to take, right? And try and toe that line. Again, let me just recap. On the professional services route, please, a certification is what you need because it's a requirement if you are going into audit services, if you are going into tax services, right? It's a requirement. But if you're going into private sector, or I mean any industry, right? Having an MBA, I feel makes you more well-rounded. All right. So I don't know if that answers the question. If not, let me know. Then I can clarify.
Please, I want to know if, let's say, if you take, let's say, a professional course to be in one of the big fours, like, will you do that like for your whole life or something? Because this one, there will not be any ranks or something. So with that one, how will I go about
No,
it?
so I mean, a professional services gives you career progression. So you rise through the ranks. So you start as maybe a junior consultant or a consultant, and then you rise through the ranks and become a senior
Oh, okay.
consultant, an assistant manager, a manager, senior manager, director, and then a partner. So there's career progression. But if you're in audit services, for example, you'll be doing that for the rest of your life. Unfortunately, right? Audit is audits. It's just a process that you have to follow. And you basically be doing that, right? But again, as you rise through the ranks, you begin your work shifts away from the actual audit work to managing people, managing processes. So as you become a manager, for example, your role now shifts away from doing the actual audit work to managing a team of people, all right, to pursuing business, to doing business development. So your role now shifts away from just doing the day-to-day mundane audits processes, right? So I mean, there's flexibility in what you do. There is career progression. I can assure you that, again, if that's your ambition, trust me, it's a good place to really start a career.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Roger, for clarifying this for us. And Joe. Please, is there any other question that anybody would like to ask?
Yeah, I would like to add on to what Mr. Roger said.
Okay.
Probably throw light on the various kinds of graduate programs that we have for the benefit of those who do not know.
All right.
So as Roger said, you need to identify. I mean, you need to know yourself and know where you are best fit, whether you are going the professional way or you want to go into academia. Okay, so like I said, some time ago, we have the thesis-based programs and then the non-thesis-based or the coursework-based programs. Okay, so for the professionals, like those who are in the accounting fields and the business sector, if you want to focus on the professional way, apart from your certificates that you need to get, you what would be best fit for you is the MBA and the business programs, which are course based. But if you feel like, oh, I can also add academia to it, then you can go for the MPhil. I have a friend who has almost all the business certificates, and he just graduated with me with an MPhil. So it means maybe he has an interest in going to academia or research. Yes, but I think you need to, understand all this before you apply. And I think from the question the guy asked, it appears he's not too sure, and I'm sure many people can relate. Maybe you're not too sure about what to do. What I would say, just study yourself, because it doesn't come easily. Me myself, before I was able to figure out to know what I need, it took a lot of time. So just try to study yourself and know what you can do, so that you make the right choices. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much once again to all our panelists for making time. You know, the time zone difference and everything, especially Perpetual is not in the country. And all of us over here, thank you for joining us on our second week for this graduate school application bootcamp. It continues next week, and we have some amazing topics coming up with good lineup of speakers who would like to share their experience with you. And thank you all for once again joining. So I would quickly invite Agnes, who is the General Secretary, for our announcement and closing prayer. Thank you very much. Agnes, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everybody. Please, let's take notes of this announcement. So next week, we'll be having a session on SOP and personal statements. So let's be preparing in that regard. And also, the recording will be uploaded to the ITI-CCR UG local YouTube channel. We will share the link to the WhatsApp page. So please check the WhatsApp page for any updates on that. And also kindly fill the feedback forms, which is in the chat box for us. Yes, please, that's all for this week. That's all the announcements for this week. Any updates will be communicated on the page. So let's hello, please, can you hear me?
Yes, please, you can hear you.
All right. So let's kindly wrap up with a closing prayer. We pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Father, Lord, we thank you for a successful session once again. We thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your faithfulness in our lives. Father, Lord, please bless us, guide us, protect us in all our endeavors. Any plans you've set before us, please may you help us to fulfill these plans. These and many other blessings we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. We end our prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Thank you all for joining today's session. Nicholas, please, over to you.
All right, thank you all for joining. See you next week for our insightful session on SOP. We go much deeper into knowing whatever it entails. See you next week. Have a good evening.